Section 7. To the proud, there is a pride which discovers itself in haughty expressions, lofty airs, in omitting that respect which is due to superiors, treating equals with coldness and indifference, looking down with contempt on inferiors, and in not bearing to have our sentiments contradicted. There is a pride which has for its object bodily charms or mental endowments. Was it my business to consider pride under these views, I should thus address my reader. Pride, sir, will be your torment, as you will scarce ever think there is a due regard paid to you. It will also render you most odious in the fight of God and man. To assist you in cultivating the contrary virtue, please to remember that everyone is ready to make an apology for the failings of the humble, whilst the failings of the proud are likely to be strictly scrutinized and aggravated. Think of the great changes that take place in human life, how, when a humble man is reduced to a state of adversity, he is pitied. But who pities the proud? Meditate upon the nature of God, study yourself, think of your entire dependence upon the deity, and contemplate the character of the humble Jesus. Such considerations might bring you, by the blessing of God upon them, to adopt the language of an excellent person, who, when his friends told him of his many good qualities and talents, used to reply, "What have I that I have not received?" My own consciousness of many follies and sins constrain me to add, "What have I that I have not misimproved?" And then reason and religion join together, and teach me the proper language of a creature and a sinner. What have I to be proud of? But that pride, which might be supposed to come more especially under the cognizance of a performance of this kind, being a growing vice of the age, relates to dress and expensive tables. As to dress, it hath been said that the change of fashions prevails more among us than any other nation in the known world. Pride in both these views is productive of numerous evils, some of which have been hinted at already under the head of luxury. It is very injurious to the constitution, sensualizes and debases the mind, proves ruinous to many an honest tradesman, is a dreadful consumer of time, is a bar to charity and beneficence, and the example of it may be also eminently detrimental. As one is fond of vying with another, in behalf of the frequent change of fashions, a person perhaps may be ready to urge that fashions in themselves are innocent, that they make good for trade, and are proper to preserve an outward distinction between the rich and the poor. I reply, allowing that many of the fashions are innocent, yet do not some of them offend modesty, and prejudice the health? The fair sex will not be displeased with me for taking a little notice here of their high head dresses. This fashion, at least in the extreme of it, is certainly detrimental to the health, as it prevents perspiration. Nay, the fashion may be productive of very bad consequences, as we may infer from the case of a young lady at Bath, whose lofty headdress in the opinion of the physician was like to have cost the lady her life. That a frequent change of the fashions promotes trade, I acknowledge, but some may ask whether the same persons may not be employed another way to the greater benefit of the public, and of themselves too, though their private gains may not be so considerable. For considerable private gains are many times an inducement to luxury, which luxury we have shewn to be quite inconsistent with the real welfare both of the body and mind. That the fashions ought to be attended to in some measure by persons in genteel life, as an outward mark of distinction between them and their inferiors, I own. But this will not be admitted as a plea for any fashion that borders upon indecency, or that endangers the health. I cannot help observing further, with respect to the lower classes of the people, that things are come to such a pass amongst them as to dress that the distinction of circumstances, which Providence has made between one and another, is often not to be known by the outward appearance. If those who get into the extreme of the fashions, or dress unsuitable to their rank, think hereby to recommend themselves to others, they are much mistaken, for such a course, instead of procuring the esteem, excites the contempt of the sensible part of mankind. To mortify the pride of dress look forwards to the grave. Oh, what a pity is it that so much attention should be paid to the frail perishing body which shall shortly turn to putrefaction and dust, and that the soul, which is capable of the employments and pleasures of angels, the soul which shall exist when time and nature die, yea, shall exist forever. How lamentable that this fowl should be so sadly neglected! Nay, your chief attention, my dear reader, from henceforward be employed about adorning the nobler part. To this the tender sex are called by the Apostle Peter, 1 Pet, Idai 3. For I am most excellent is the advice which another inspired writer gives, wrong. Sit I 14. Put ye on the Lord Jesus Christ, as much as to say, and to be clothed with the various virtues and graces which compose the character of the Son of God. The immortal spirit that is thus arrayed has a source of happiness in itself, is admired by all wise and good men, appears beautiful in the eyes of angels and of God, and shall eternally inherit the divine favor.